scores of extrajudicial killing of a human rights activist, of political activist, the forced abduction, torture, and forced disappearances of political activists. Against this is a huge violence against religious minorities, particularly in Sindhi Hindus, who are one of the most vulnerable part of Sindhi indigenous society. And there is a systematic campaign of terror and horror to coerce them to leave their motherland. And as a result, on a regular basis, literally every month, every week, young Sindhi Hindu girls are abducted, forcibly converted, forcibly married, and there is nobody to get them any support. And basically, and they live rest of their lives in literally sexual slavery. And then there are, say for example, in Sindh, in recent years, because Sindh is the richest part of Pakistan. According to the Pakistani official figures, Sindh produces 70% of wealth of Pakistan. And they want to completely colonize that. They want to completely divide us and from our resources. They are bringing a lot of people from outside so that they can convert Sindhis into minority. And Sindhi people are suffering the economic, political, cultural, and lingual genocide. And similar situations, say in Balochistan, thousands of people are being murdered. In Gilgit and Baltistan, these lands are being occupied to give route to the Pak-China economic corridor. Same is the situation in Sraik area. So it is really one of the worst situations that we are facing in recent years.
So what do you want the international community to really do in that case?
Number one, to press upon Pakistan to stop these atrocities. They are inhuman, these are cruel, these are barbaric, and they need to be stopped.
And how can the UN intervene, really?
UN has got a lot of procedures, lot of mechanisms through which they can pressurize Pakistan, and to stop these violations they can.
But a lot of people say the UN has become a weak body.
They have to show some courage, because they can mobilize the international community to have some sanctions on Pakistan. Because now Pakistan, I mean, everybody knows that is epicenter of extremism and terrorism. And on the inside, internally, they are oppressing these nations like Sindhis and Baloch. So, and these nations are standing for their right to self-determination, because that is the only solution they are going to find out of this situation.
And how do you view the rise of the religious extremism in Sindh?
That is a systematic policy. The government, and particularly the foreign money like Saudi, they are spending billions to spread the religious extremism, because Sindhi traditionally has been a secular society. Sindhis have been a tolerant society. They want to convert that so that they can easily colonize the Sindhi people. And we are facing that situation, and it is a systematic campaign. Everybody knows it's supported and sponsored by the Pakistani state establishment and foreign money such as Saudi Arabia.
So what are your concerns about the demographic changes in the south?
We have got a very, very, very serious concern, because though the entire Sindhi society has been rising and saying that, look, this is our historical motherland. And even in any part of the world, Pakistani officials, their figures are, there are 7 million illegal immigrants. Okay, so there are 7 million immigrants. On one hand, they are putting a lot of pressure on very weak and feeble infrastructure. They are creating a lot of conflicts. They are bringing extremist ideologies. So Sindhi society is rising, and Sindhi society is unanimous, and there's a consensus on this issue that this should be stopped.
And what do you think will be the impact of the Pakistan-China economic corridor on Sindh?
This will be a disaster. This will be a disaster for us, for all other oppressed nations. And we think that the hegemony of and the human rights violations against the oppressed nations such as Sindhis will strengthen further. And because of this, they will take away further encroach into our areas. The population, which is already very, very demographic situation, which is very, very fragile, that will become even further fragile. So we are in a very difficult situation that should be stopped. That's not only threat to us, it is threat to regional stability, it is threat to the global peace as well. So not only us, the Sindhis and Baloch, who will suffer from it adversely, but even the regional situation will worsen. And therefore, the regional powers and the international community has to think about it and have to have a strategy to stop that.
Before there was a wider India before the partition. Do you think you would have been better off in a wider India than the situation that has continued for the last 60 years?
I think probably in any democratic setups, Sindhi people's rights would have been much more protected than in the in a situation run an undemocratic country, undemocratic institutions. We have suffered enormously. Yes, and
And this is the first time these groups are united here, are uniting here, and taking out a demonstration. And this is going to continue what, every year or?
every year, because what will happen previously. We had demonstrations on our own, but we decided it is really very important to unite all the groups who suffer in Pakistan, because as they are saying, united we stand, because it is important that within us there should be unity, and that is why we decide this, and this will happen every year.
So if you want to get independent status, are you looking for an independent Sindh as a country?
As a policy, the right to self-determination, which is a fundamental human right, is embodied in the constitution of our constitution of World Sindhi Congress, and we struggle for that. Yes,
And so all these groups here are all wanting an independent status.
they will speak for themselves because they are here. But yes, they want the right to self-determination, and Balos are clearly saying for independence. Yes.
And how hopeful are you will achieve this? It's surely you're not going to get it in your lifetime.
Listen, I mean, when people struggle, they don't struggle that I should get the fruit myself. And even if our future generations live with dignity and peace on their own motherland as a free people, that is our purpose served. This is the journey. We will continue on this journey, and hopefully for our future generations, the journey will be easier, and they will see the dream that we see now.
But how long do you think this fight will have to endure in order for you to get at least some kind of an independent status?
I think it is really very difficult to put a time scale on that. It depends upon a lot of factors, and that include our strengths, our unity, and then also the attitude of the international community, international powers and regional powers. So it is not easy to predict, but we believe in it. We believe that is right. We believe that is our right, and we believe that if today, if not today, then tomorrow, if not tomorrow, then day after tomorrow, we'll get it.
Thank you for talking to us. Your name is?
Nurdin Mengel.
And Nurdin, what are you doing here today?
We're here to raise the awareness about what's going on in the provinces of Sindh and Balochistan, the military operation that's been going on there for over the last decade, where thousands of people have been persecuted by the state, thousands have been killed or tortured in torture camps, many have gone missing, and there's no news of where they are. Basically, the state has been using all means to repress people who have been speaking for their rights, to people who've been talking about having equality and greater rights within the state, and they've been persecuted for asking for asking for autonomy and the right to self-determination. So people. The state has used all these means, and yet the international community has ignored the oppression that the state has committed in Balochistan and Sindh.
Are you from Sindh, Balochistan itself? What sort of things have you personally seen in terms of oppression that you object to?
Well, there are many forms of oppression, and the state has used all forms. Enforced disappearances is one of their key methods of spreading fear in society. As I said, thousands of people have gone missing in Balochistan and Sindh. And then there's the issue of extrajudicial killings, where people who have gone missing, they've been tortured in torture camps, and their bodies are dumped in the public to spread fear in the society. This is their form of oppression. And again, there's a military operation that's been going on in Balochistan and Sindh, where the army has been brutally and mercilessly killing indiscriminately people regardless of their association with the struggle for human rights, because of their ethnicity, basically. And this seems to be going on without any, it's been going on for so many years, and it seems as if that it will continue to go on because the international community hasn't taken a stand on this issue.
And you're going to take a proactive stand yourself. And are there many young generation people in the younger generation who are getting very active like yourself and voicing their opinions now?
See, when it comes to people who have gone missing and people who have been killed in Balochistan and Sindh, the numbers of people who have been killed or have gone missing are from the youth, the educated class, students, people who are able to spread awareness about what's been going on, who are able to tell the people of their nation that their rights they've been deprived of their rights, that they're being treated as third-class citizens within their own country, the country of Sindh and Balochistan, and they've been occupied, and their land is being taken away from there, their resources are being taken away from there, and these are all the people who have been persecuted the most are from the younger generation, and that is the backbone of our political and struggle for human rights. So yes. I believe that this movement for autonomy, self-determination, and greater rights is being led by the youth of.
And will you achieve it in your lifetime?
I hope. I can only hope for something like that. There are things that needs to be. There's unity, which we lack on.
But for 70 years since independence, nothing has changed. How hopeful are you that the UN can actually make a strategic move in your favor? Or the international community for that?
Unfortunately, you see, the human rights violations that have been taking place in Sindh and Balochistan are greater than places where the international community has taken a stand.
And what sort of stand? Are you looking for military stand? Are you looking for financial stand? I mean, what kind of assistance are you really looking at?
We just want the world to be talking about what's going on, to raise this issue with the Pakistanis, to hold them accountable for what they're doing. They're committing crimes against humanity. They're killing people of Balochistan and Sindh only because they've been asking for greater rights. And the way this is to be done, we feel that we should be given the right to determine our future. That could be done in a referendum. The UN has to intervene. Pakistan must withdraw its forces from Sindh and Balochistan. Once they withdraw their forces from Sindh and Balochistan, only then you can have a referendum where you can determine, where the international community can determine whether the Baloch want to be part of Pakistan or they want to regain their independent state, which was independent and it was occupied by Pakistan.
We're just witnessing people here now taking an active stand on their views.
No to CPAC, no to CPAC, no to CPAC, no to
a los gobiernos y las Naciones Unidas.
We want freedom! We want freedom! We want freedom! Sindhi want freedom! Baloch want freedom! Gilgit want freedom! Kashmir want freedom!
I now have with us Mr. Hidayat Bhutto, and you are the UK European organizer. How many people are you expecting here today?
There is dozens of people from different parts of the oppressed nations of Pakistan. There are people, Sindhis, Balochs, Gilgiti, Kashmiris, all are joined together. All the oppressed nations are here to protest against the atrocities of.
But how many, what's the turnout going to be like today? Hundreds of people, thousands?
There are hundreds of people, yeah. And these are gathered against the atrocities of Pakistani government and Pakistani establishment against the oppressed nations. and oppressed nations like Sindhis, Balots, they are under oppression, huge military operation. There is extrajudicial killings, disappearances is the everyday norm in Pakistan, and human rights activists are killed every day, almost every day. There is huge atrocities against Sindhi minorities, Hindu minorities, which are religious minorities. They kidnap their girls and convert them as a Muslims. Even the married girls, because Pakistan says we don't recognize Hindu marriages, and they kidnap the married girls and convert them as a Muslim, and they say Muslims are not allowed to marry any non-Muslims, and that's why they don't recognize even Hindu marriages.
But people seem to have a view that Nawaz Sharif has been trying to do some good. Where do you think has he helped in any way?
No, not at all. Nawaz Sharif belongs with is the part and parcel of the military regime. There is no change in the regime itself. Regime is same who has caused millions of people killed in Bangladesh, and ultimately Bangladesh has developed. The same operation is happening against Baloch people in Balochistan since decades, and Nawaz Sharif has any guts to change this any against the regime. The actual power is the military, and military is doing all the atrocities without any fear.
And your family is still in Sindh?
That's right. Yes, our families are under threat. Every person who is there and talks about the rights, self-determination, or their political, lingual rights, they are under threat. And Pakistan is a security state. And
have you or any members of your family personally suffered under the regime?
There is a lot of our family close relatives which has been arrested, and they are under pressure, under threat, and almost our very close friends have been killed and disappeared since years, and after years of disappearances we received mutilated dead bodies of those people.
So when you've taken the issue up with the authorities, what have they said?
They don't even have lodged the FIR, which is the first investigation, a report to the police. They don't even lodge the FIR. Even with the huge pressure of judicial, if we reach to the courts, and courts they ask the rangers or military personnel to come and reply, but they don't. They ignore even the court orders. They don't care about. There is no law even the jungle has a law, but in Pakistan there is no law at all. So they ignore all the orders from the courts, from any civilian. For example, Raja Dar Bambro was he was a human rights activist. He has been arrested by rangers in front of hundreds of eyewitnesses in a village, and after a month we received his mutilated body. He was dumped and buried as an anonymous person. And after a month of his burial, someone has tipped off that he's the one who is buried in this grave.
Now, the word Sindhis actually comes from a Sanskrit word, and it's actually originated from India. So really, you are part and parcel of Greater India. How do you see the view with regards to India and its with the stance that Pakistan is taking towards India? What are your views there?
Well, we respect all the civilized world, and we think India has a democracy, and democracy there is atrocities in Pakistan. For example, fundamentalism. This is state-sponsored fundamentalism in Sindh. Sindh is a historical entity since centuries. Even the Vedas are coming from Sindh, historical from Mohenjo-daro. There is Sindh, and even there is historians says Sindh and Ind. There was the India come from the Sindh. Our Sindhu Indus River is basically the Indian building blocks. So we think that, for example, Raja Dar, who was attacked by Muhammad bin Qasim, we Sindhis feel that Raja Dar is our hero because he defended his homeland, and we believe that Muhammad bin Qasim is an offender. and he has killed a lot of Sindhis there and caused a huge massacre of the Sindhi people. And we believe that it's a moral responsibility for the India as well as a neighboring country to see that these atrocities and human rights violations, killing is happening in Sindh and Balochistan. It's moral responsibility for Indian civilian government to support.
Are you looking towards India to assist you in any way?
Well, it's according to the United Nations, if there is a crisis in the neighboring country, and we believe that this fundamentalism, which is state-sponsored fundamentalism in Sindh, it will not spare India as well. So India has to act and support Sindhis and Balochs, and it's moral responsibility all the neighboring country that this sort of atrocities are happening in the neighboring country. It's their moral responsibility to support Sindh and Balochistan.
And how long are you planning to carry on with this kind of demonstrations coming here to the United Nations, in front of the United Nations buildings? It's going to be once every 6 months, once every year? What are you looking at?
Well, we come here regularly whenever there is a session. Words in the Congress is here in every session since last couple of decades. We have got 26 years now. We have been coming here, and our representatives are here in almost every session. Sometimes we hold demonstrations, sometimes we hold briefings, sometimes interventions, and we have got interventions in the United Nations. We have got a statement on item 3, and we keep saying and keep demanding because our main demand is the right of self-determination.
So for the last 26 years, you have been raising this issue. How far have you got with the UN?
Well, it's difficult because here United Nations, the states look their own interests, and we are trying to convince them since decades. And these atrocities, it's our moral responsibility to inform the world the plight of Sindhi people, and we are keeping informing them that whatever the atrocities are happening, and it's up to them that ultimately they have to listen.
So how long do you think it will take for them to actually take notice of what you're saying and do something about it?
Well, it depends. It's difficult to say for as a time period wise, but ultimately the way the Pakistan government is causing disaster to the world peace, it will be not only us. For example, in 1952, my leader, the chairman of Words in the Congress, then Sain GM said, in 1952 he told the world that don't support this fundamentalist state. If you support this fundamentalist state, it will kill us, but it will not spare the civilized world as well. So it is happening now. World is seeing that the warnings we have given them quite decades ago, and this is happening now. If they don't act now, they will be in trouble. We will be in trouble as well, but they won't spare the civilized world because they don't believe in civilization. They believe in their own fundamentalist ideologies.
Thank you for talking to us. Mr. Shaukat Kashmiri, I'm from MATV and we are coming live. Can you tell me what are you doing here today and what it is you're trying to achieve?
Actually, we are here protesting against Pakistan's repressive rule, and also the intelligence agencies who promoting fundamentalism and terrorism in our regions. Basically, I am from POK. And POK used as the land for the terrorist activities. There is huge terrorist infrastructures, and they are using that land as a launching pad against the other part of Kashmir, which is under Indian administrations.
So what is the current status of human rights in your part of the region?
You see the Baloch, the Sindhis, the other protesting against the human rights violations in Pakistan, because thousands and thousands of people kidnapped from different part of Pakistan. So you can think, you can imagine the people who lived under periphery of Pakistan, what kind of human rights is there.
And what do you want from the international community
We
specifically?
are asking international community to put pressure on Pakistan and ask Pakistan to change its policies which is actually promoting and funded the extremist groups, and also respect the human rights of every individuals, religious minorities, and common peoples, because we are the Kashmiris who actually facing worst kind of discrimination on the basis of ethnicity. We are ruled by four powerful land officers. They are all always came from Pakistan. And the Minister of Kashmir Affairs, who is a Pakistani minister, he always supervise our political affairs. So there is no development, there is no anything which we can say that our rights is protected, because we ruled by one act which is actually Pakistan imposed that, which is known as Act 1974. So our so-called Prime Minister, our Assembly, they are all protesting, even not only on the nationalists or those who actually freedom from Pakistan, those who want freedom from Pakistan, but also those political parties who want Kashmir accession with Pakistan. They are also protesting. Even our Assembly passed resolutions. And repeal all the discriminatory laws from the Act 1974.
We're standing here in front of the United Nations buildings. So what can the UN really do to assist you or bring a solution?
I think UN mechanism, it is very slow. But the country, state is answerable to the world community, and especially in United Nations Human Rights Council. Every 3 years they are scrutinized what kind of law is prevailing in Pakistan. So Pakistan has facing huge pressure from the world community, and especially the United Nations Human Rights Council, and they are asking to protect the women's rights, to protect the religious minorities and their freedom of religions, and also asking them to protect the basic rights of those who are actually under your administrations. So we are very hopeful from the United Nations. We have no any regret. We are working here as human rights defenders, and many states and many human rights organizations, they are supporting us.
Pakistan government says that the so-called Azad Kashmir are free to run their affairs. So what are your views on this?
I think last month, the so-called Prime Minister of Azad Kashmir, Chaudhry Abdul Majid, he was crying in front of the media and also protesting in Islamabad that government of Pakistan is not allow me to complete the development projects, and also stop fundings. And last 4 years, he said in front of media that we have not received any kind of support from Pakistan. And his government is living like in a harassment anytime, because in the constitution, which is called interim constitution of 1974, there is a one clause which is called section 56. That section actually empowered government of Pakistan. Anytime government of Pakistan can dissolve this so-called governments.
So is there any coordination between various groups struggling for the rights in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir?
Yes, of course, we have different, we are sitting in different alliances, like we have a all parties national alliance, almost collaborating 13 political parties and NGOs, human rights groups. So we have different alliances. Here in Europe, we have one alliance which is known as Jammu Kashmir International People's Alliance, and I am the Secretary General of that alliance, and we organized many seminars and conferences here, and we invite all school of thoughts from different part of Europe and the Kashmiris and the NGO representatives.
And how do you see your struggle going forward?
It's very difficult to say, but we are on the right directions, and we think they will come, that our motherland will be reunited, and our nation enjoy fundamental rights and the freedom.